Let's see how we're sounding. Here with the man himself. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. This? Oh no, it's a brand. What's it called? It's not Stone Island. It's I can't remember. I can never remember the name. It's a guy who was on Love Island. No, it wasn't. No, made in Chelsea time ago.
Okay.
Serge
Proud Luck.
Serge, yeah,
Proud
yeah,
Luck.
Proud Luck.
Oh, you know what time it is.
Yes, sir, ski.
Another one. Right. So, tell them who you are.
Oluwa Tobi. I'm just Tobi, multidisciplinary artist, designer, dancer, human, weirdo, whatever you want to call it.
He needs no introduction.
I guess
he can do it all himself. So, basically, the way this is going to pattern out is it's all about the guest. So you can lead in whichever direction you prefer, using the props, using your own like journey in your artistry, and tell them about like the relationship that we have, how we linked up in that.
I think I'll start with how we met, I guess.
Fashion
or even
retail?
Like fashion retail, yeah. I think
Arnott's.
In Arnott's. Well, Top Man, I used to meet you in Top Man all the time. Then we both worked in Arnott's and we're just like two dudes. I remember it was you, me, and Raf.
Yeah.
Raf, shout out Raf.
Shout out Raf.
And Ted Baker. Ted Baker, not anymore. Man, we've all grown since then. But we used to just banter across the floor, but we all had very similar interests.
And what concession? I can't remember that concession.
Selected Home.
Selected Home, okay.
Selected Home, yes. You know, we were all working retail, but we all had like vision beyond that. Exactly. We're like, wait, I'm making you this much, I look this good, and you're paying me this much. It's not adding up in the middle.
Nah, the math wasn't
mathing.
Exactly.
But I think we also all had similar interests.
Yeah.
Whether it was philanthropy or artistically or fashion wise, like we were both into fashion. You were in Culture Club and you ran Love Your Neighbor, which is for me was such a dope.
And you designed. That was like the first design piece that you did, wasn't it? The Love Your Neighbor one. Before the Luffy one piece.
Before the Luffy one piece, yeah, it was the very first time I made for you actually. The Love Your Neighbor.
And I really
piece.
did appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. So we go way back.
We go way back.
Back in time.
Where did you get the idea to start doing the jackets? That would be my favorite piece of your artistry. Obviously, you're a phenomenal dancer, photographer, director, all these things. But it was the jackets and just your penmanship is crazy. So how you were able to begin that journey? What made you want to start designing jackets like that?
I think it really came from, vintage. Yeah, it came from when I really started falling in love with vintage clothing.
Yeah.
Because at the time, like, I was only really, I say when I found vintage, when I really started to, like, allow myself to fall into fashion. And at the time, I noticed with vintage that it was cheaper at the time. Now, I don't know anymore because the market is saying something else. Because, trends, people buying it. But at the time, I started finding vintage and getting more into vintage digging and finding vintage pieces. And you'd always get like the offhand piece that was really like high quality that no one else would have. So whether it was like a military trench or a Mac jacket, you'd find it and it would kind of be yours. And I remember I used to think of fashion as like wearable art, and I always wanted clothes. I always felt like clothes were such a human thing, but also clothes is how you present yourself in the first place. So I wanted clothes that kind of spoke to the person wearing them.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I just loved anime. Like, whether it's One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, come on.
Literally.
We've seen the journey, we've seen the story, the struggle, the fighting, the winning.
There's too many to even name.
So for me, I really wanted clothing to feel like art pieces where you could actually meet an individual. So, like, I always used to say, look, when I first started Self-Made, my original brand, we can all have denim jackets. We're all human beings, but we don't all have to have the exact same denim jacket.
And guess what I'm wearing today? I'm going to take a moment to show you how ridiculously good this guy is. Like, nah, you can laugh. You keep laughing.
Gas it. It's okay. Gas it.
This is how talented. I'm going to maybe get a
and I think this is actually the best example, because for me as well, I was seeing a lot of like custom clothing online, like one of ones. But for me, it wasn't really adding up, because if you had... I
feel like I'm doing that messy celebration.
Way! But yeah, no, people used to just like paint whatever. And for me, like even looking at things like luxury fashion, asking myself why certain things hit so well, why a level of quality wasn't expected at a certain level, I started to be like, no, wait, like the color of the jacket, the color, you know what I mean? Like a mixture of color, tone, how it sits on the piece, where it's placed on the piece, was only something I ever saw in, I guess, luxury.
Okay.
In, say, things like Primark and whatever, it always just felt a little bit careless.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really aiming for luxury. And I think for me, a lot of it came from, growing up black and having certain things expected in a way. or not having certain things expected of you. So it's like, oh, I can't shine unless I'm wearing Louis Vuitton. Or, you know, like I can't look a certain level of like street or elegant unless I'm spending a certain amount of money. So I was like, wait, why isn't this generally applied here as well? So for me, when I started painting the pieces, it was more about, okay, we're bringing this artwork onto the piece, but then the piece also has to be a piece of art in itself. So it can't just be like, okay, I took this character, I slapped it here.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
You have your own, like, I'm going to do this messy celebration one more time.
So like, it really, like you can see, for me, I'm like, this is actually, but you can see like all the colors, the tones, how it sits on the jacket, the textures. For me, all that has to really like...
You've put your own stamp on it. In my eyes, like, what I sent you as a reference and what you produced were like similar yet different.
Yeah.
They weren't worlds apart, but I could tell like that's a Tobi piece. Not just because it's on a denim jacket.
Yeah.
But you took what I gave you and transferred it into a different dimension.
That's what I always loved about you, because, and it's not like, I think everyone realized that, but you always like really vocalize that to me. It's like, no, it's like, okay, you can actually see, like, again, a lot of people like, and I'm not talking down people, a lot of people buy clothes and like think that you have to wear a particular brand or full outfit of a particular brand. I'm like, no, you should actually be able to, like, for me, you're a person with many layers, so you should be able to also have the same kind of depth within what you wear, what you eat.
What I'm getting from that is like, it's a function of your creativity.
Yeah.
For me, like you, of course, like we like having nice things and whatever, drip or drown, like do all these things. But like, I always found that, especially with fashion, how many times can I wear the same thing differently?
Exactly.
What I mean is, a lot of people would like wear an outfit once and feel like they can't wear it again.
Like my tech fleece has to go to the tech fleece, the LV jacket has to go to the LV pants. Like, no. And also, like, obviously, like, maybe I'm stepping for myself again, but my main thing is like sustainability. So it's like, if you buy one piece, how sustainable is it? Not ecologically or like, but I'm like, sustainability to your pockets, to your wardrobe, so you're not wasting clothes, having to buy, you know what I mean, buy a whole...
Exactly, and that would be quality.
Exactly.
So if you, like, spend a significant amount of money and, like, this t-shirt can last several washes, you know, it's not going to be coming away at the seams.
Yeah, exactly. But this t-shirt can go with like 10 other things in your wardrobe. Exactly. So it's not like you can only wear this t-shirt with one pair of pants. It's like, no, I can take this t-shirt off and wear my blue jeans. I can also wear my black jeans because, you get me?
Yeah, and like, that relates to me an awful lot.
Yeah.
Like in my field of work with climate science, like, how do we reduce our carbon footprint? And it literally is just consuming less. If you buy a quality garment and keep it for a long time, we spoke about that. Bag. That bag has been going for like 4 years. It's leather. Like,
you know, it's like it's hard wearing. It lasts, but also the money you invest in it and the investment it puts back in what you need it for match. If you get me, like, you know, you paid a certain amount of money for the bag. The bag lasts you 4 years, and I'm like, that's how
less than €200. But saves me buying like a €50 bag every year, or 70 inflation, like whatever it is, €70 bag every year. That would be like,
and the bag looks good. Or spending like €900 on a Louis Vuitton bag that's probably the same quality, but you're only really buying it for the brand, for the name. But people don't really buy things for the name; they buy the name for what it makes them feel like. If you get
flex.
Me. So yeah, for the flex. But it's not even just a flex. It's like the idea of, like, for me, maybe I'm contextualizing. It's like the idea of confidence we're sold. So it's like, people, like, you feel great wearing a Doc Martens bag, but it's the same quality, probably same quality, if not more than half the LV and Prada. Not most people, but a lot of people might only feel like they have to buy a certain level of bag or a certain brand of bag to have the same kind of look. If you get me,
keeping images. I think where you're going with that is like the watch example. People would spend a lot of money on a watch, it would still tell the same time.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Rolex or a Seconde or a Casio, it's still going to tell the same time.
Yeah.
The only arena that I would spend more on a watch is because of functionality. Like, a smartwatch is the only time I would spend more money, because like, my smartwatch enables me to do content creation like this.
Or if it's an investment, like, you know, I buy this, and that watch is going to be worth this much in this many years.
It was even, exactly. And fitness as well. I wanted to be more healthy. I want to see my steps, and like, I want to be able to like do things on the go and not like look at my phone when I need to do them. So it helps in many ways. And like you said, it could be worth more further down the line. So yeah, it doesn't need to be anything like, how much is a smartwatch? Like €300-400 compared to like a Rolex that could cost more. So
yeah, exactly.
You're dancing. Phenomenal. You're so good at it. Like, you always tell how I led in with that, because you can only really be prolific at something if you're able to teach it, you know?
Yeah.
And you've gone from being a dancer and like watching other people do their thing.
Yeah.
you've been a leader and a follower. So tell us about like your dancing journey.
Dancing for me, that's a complicated one. Dancing for me is something I wanted to do since I think every African kid, you dance. You go to a party.
They'll make you do that competition.
The mom is doing this.
And the musical chairs.
Who does the best dance for 20 euros? Let's go. Woo, musical chairs. All of that. All of that. But for me, I think when I really fell in love with dance is when I realized it could carry... Like, don't get me wrong, it's lit, it's amazing, but it could carry and express so much more. So I really fell in love with dance at a point when I feel like... Again, maybe I'm getting to the growing up. It's like I didn't really have anything else to turn to. Okay. So for me, no, genuinely. So for me, dance was like something I always wanted to do. I remember just shout out my OG Tobi and I. Before I ever took class, before I ever was allowed to take class, ever could afford to take class myself in Carlisle, it was me and like 3 or 4 other guys learning off of YouTube. And Tobi used to come through. He was already performing. Wow. And it was like, I remember like I used to watch videos like You Got Served and Something Yard, but it was my first time maybe seeing like a Nigerian guy who danced and just was the coolest person. So seeing him break dance or whatever was really inspiring and made me want to keep dancing. But then whenever he was in my hometown, Carlo, because he was from Carlo as well, then he moved away. He'd stick around for like an hour or two and train us. But yeah, dance for me is like, I'm not going to go into the whole journey because we'll be here all day, but dance for me is like, it's really about the expression within and how it connects. But I think over lockdown, if I skip through it, because I feel like I've really trained with a lot of incredible people and had a lot of really inspiring people that I've always watched to learn from, whether it was, because I think now people think I'm just a freestyle dancer. And I'm like, actually, no, I just love dance in general. And I always wanted to train pretty much every style. And that's how I started. But I've actually also been injured since 2016. So my journey through dance has kind of shifted a lot. Both feet. Like, swear down. Chronic pain, both feet. It's been like 7 years. There was like maybe like 2 years where I didn't really wear sneakers. And again, it's one of those things like, again, it's whether you talk about it or you don't, how you handle it, whatever. But yeah, for me, it's just probably the most expressive art form that I can think of and really feel. And again, it feels so tied to who I am and where I'm from naturally. That has brought me on the journey. But I went from, say, dancing more in the park and with some guys learning breakdancing to teaching in a school, then moving to Dublin, getting to take classes. With everyone I watched, dance is what got me through college. You know, when you want to do like a creative artistic thing, your parents are like, go and study your books.
I think everyone needs a bucket, especially if you're a kid who thinks of ideas and daydream a lot. Like, do that so often. Yeah. So I always needed a bucket, and Culture Club initially was that bucket. There's also been Love Your Neighbor because of the philanthropic aspect of it. Couplet as well. With my G's that we did that. I always needed like a bucket to pour ideas into. Because, like, I couldn't let it live in my head. It would drive me nuts.
I really feel like if you don't have something to pour your feelings or ideas, your even just things you want or things you hope for into, it makes, for me anyways, it makes life feel hopeless because it's like the things you need. Again, obviously you and me are both Nigerian, we're both here, but the things you need, the things that you don't see around you, the feeling that you're missing or that you feel is missing doesn't really get to exist. So for me, I remember like when I was in Carlisle, I used to look at, even when I came to Dublin, I used to go to like things like 858 Cleavage Club. What?
The feelings that you're missing doesn't get to exist because you never put them out. You never brought it to fruition.
Yeah, I really feel, I
had to reload that one.
No, I really, for me, it's always been that. I was like, no.
I never thought of it that way before.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes, obviously, we go through life, and I'm not to get too deep in things, because I'll go off, but we go through life, and it's like, you see so many things happen, obviously, like right now, social media is a bit of a mad place, whatever. But there's so many basic things that just help us connect as human beings before any of the other complicated conversations come into it. And trying to, if you don't see space for those things, I'm like, it's very easy to lose hope. Whereas it's actually even probably more challenging, more difficult to create the space and try and create those things and put it out. But I think it's really...
Be what you want to see.
Be what you... Yeah, exactly. Like, you got to change yourself and you got to, like... What's that phrase? I'm actually forgetting the phrase. Be the change you want to see. Yeah. But also
I think, therefore I am.
Yeah, I think, therefore I am. Exactly. So what you feel, especially because of social creatures, what you feel is never wrong. Feelings shift, but also those feelings have to go somewhere. And maybe again, it comes from a place where being a kid
all
is
about how you channel it. Like,
being a kid.
So you put it into dancing and
exactly. Being a kid and having, say, okay, maybe grown up boys and having feelings, be like, oh, you're not supposed to feel those things. But it's like, no, I put that feeling somewhere. Someone else can relate to it. Now we have space for this. You get me? Sick. And now we have space to have this conversation. And it doesn't even have to be a conversation.
You're creating like a series of safe spaces for you to actually feel like what I am is fine, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
And people will respond to that as well because they might be thinking the same thing.
They most likely
I'd love to dance, I'd love to look for a space to do this. Some people have different things to say about this. You know, the way there's a meme, like people that dance in the club and do all these things and whatever. But you guys have created a space for yourself. It's not just one person doing it.
No.
It's a series of people doing it and having a good time. People that are at the bar, that's their thing.
Yeah.
That's their safe space.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to be able to, like, you know, be what you want to see and also kind of like encourage other people to do the same and join in as well.
Because all of these things can exist in the same space. Like you said, like, okay, when you're, like, for me, I always look at, like, because you're a science here, so you get this ecology.
Yeah.
I'm in a bar. There's people at the bar getting drinks. That's what they love to do. Cool. There's people dancing. That's what they love to do. Cool. The DJ's playing music. That's what they love to do. Cool. They're all different realms, but it's all this ecology of if I'm using big words, the ecology of the same room.
Yeah.
And all these things can fit in the one space. They don't have
coexist.
They can coexist easily. Yeah. So again, going back to communities, whatever way you want to look at it, things we enjoy, but all these things can coexist in the one space. I can listen to Afrobeats and two-step. You can be doing all this. Someone else can be doing, you get me? But it can still be the same song, the same feeling expressed in different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be like only space for one thing. And I think maybe
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the reason I think that we get along so well is because I'm also very animated, like, and we're gonna stay on dancing because of one particular individual. You know who it is. You know who it is.
If you don't know, now you know.
The Don Gargan.
The Don Gargan.
The African Giant himself.
I just realized it's African Giant album as well.
It's African Giant, bro.
Yo.
I had to cop. It comes with like 2 discs and also comes with like
I need to
all the information on producers and where it was recorded. So one more time for them. African Giant by Burna Boy. And guess who danced in a Burna Boy video?
I'm gonna shout myself this one time. Because everyone else has
been like, if you don't plug yourself, I'll plug you. I'll give you your flowers.
I was in Burna's video. Anyways, that's
exactly,
the one,
man. So it wasn't for this particular album. It was for, was it Love Damini or?
I think it was Love Damini.
Twice as Tall.
No, I think it was Love Damini.
Love Damini with the Ed Sheeran song.
Ed Sheeran, the song with Ed Sheeran, For Your Hand. Whenever I'm lonely, you make me feel all that. Go on YouTube, you find it.
Yeah. Fine for my hand.
Bro. This album was what really like clicked a lot for me as well. Mad.
Burna Boy, see this, yeah? My goat of Afrobeats. Like Burna Boy, what he's able to do with his artistry is insane. It's incredible,
bruh.
So
the things he brings into his music as well are so real.
And we got loads of other bits here that we could discuss. This is what actually comes with the Burna Boy. This is the reason I collect vinyls, folks. So it comes with
certification.
It's like information on where it was recorded, all the contributing artists. A lot goes into an album.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty that goes into an album that people like might not know. So obviously this is like the A side and then there's the B side as well. Different artists that produced it, where it was recorded, and the record label that was produced
under.
This
is amazing for me because actually, obviously I've never seen this or actually owned the record.
You can't see it on Spotify.
No, but that's my thing. I'm like, I know growing up, you could see the history of things, but also like figure out who did what. Because again, you bought a CD album, and the CD album was like it was a booklet. You open the booklet, Nowadays, I'm like, people get not people, but you get lost in like just hearing the track, but not actually hearing what went into the track. If you get me,
all of the
pieces that fit into that one thing to make that feeling. So for me, I'm like, this is because then you lose the history of something.
100%. There's a reason why we record things. Like a lot of people would attribute it to the Romans and like white civilizations, but obviously the Egyptians recorded things as well. Neanderthals did as well. So it's a way for them to pick out a reference point. Like this happened then. Like in 2019, I know one of the most lit albums.
You're gonna be 60 like this. Here, love. Did you see that this guy was featured?
I like that you mentioned that. Because this is something that I would like to share with my kids.
Yeah.
Like I've loved music for a very long time. I'm sure you obviously you're a dancer. That's why I brought this here. Yeah. But my girlfriend got me a record player for Christmas, and since then, like it's just turned into this.
Yeah. No, when you pull up, I thought this was gonna be tech. Sorry guys, I thought this was gonna be tech, and then he opened it, and I'm like, no, he pulled up with a library of.
Yeah,
is that Mad City?
Pick out anything you want there.
Oh no!
There's a few picture discs in there too.
Bruh, now I'm just gonna put out Good Kid, Mad City because Kendrick is the GOAT. Yo!
I had to get his classic, man.
Wait, one sec. If you're reading this, it's too late as well. Nah.
Yeah. That was my brother's girlfriend actually got that for me.
Cause certain albums like this, like okay, you know, you start digging into J. Cole and Kendrick and really deep in their lyrics, really bring you on a other journey of depth, like music wise, but also like content wise.
100%. There's layers to it, like that album. Money Trees.
Poetic Justice alone.
Thank you.
Drank.
And I'll let you do the honors. Open it up.
Oh my God. See, this is because again, like. One thing I focus on, because you know my work is about black masculinity, but one thing I focus on is the fact that we never, and I guess why I love things like this, I'm obsessed with things like this, because we never learned.
Black masculinity
we never learned, we never, not even just that, but we never really learned growing up the history of our own things or things we were interested in. And for me to see ish like this, like, nah.
And it's funny because, like, the African diaspora is not a monolith.
No.
Like, there's African Americans, and Africa is a continent. It's not just the one thing. It's not just the one. Some people would think it's just the one country if they're unaware or uneducated.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, Africa has so many countries in it. All with its different languages and culture, dances, everything. So I feel like African Americans also would like to relate to that aspect of like find their tribe.
Yeah. To some extent, like I've seen some people who like some black theorists or black. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like people who are really focused on studying African Afro culture, who can literally be an American that like recognize what tribe different parts of America originally came from based on facial features. So I've seen the guy literally be like, "Oh, this person is definitely from like a Senegalese background."
You
but
can
like,
get it like Somali
ago,
people as well, or us with our names.
Yeah,
like you're Tobi Balogun and I'm Samuel
Awe. You get me?
So, like you can tell like from people's names like their history and where they come from.
Yeah, like I'm just really glad that obviously like we're now in 2023 whatever that, but now there's because growing up we didn't learn those histories of anything. You get me? So
even your name had like the people ask you like how to pronounce your last name, or did they just like butcher it? Did they
Balo? There's actually no. I always say this, and I'm like I still ask myself why, but those points when I called myself like I still call myself just Tobi, because Tobi Balogun is a mouthful, but also it was more came from a place of growing up. And maybe because of the environment I lived in, being embarrassed by it. Because people would never want to pronounce it. They'd be like, oh, what the fuck is that name kind of thing. You get me? But now for me, it's a real thing of pride. Plus, I know what the name means.
100%.
I know what each word means. And it's actually like going back and being like, wait, why did...
We're getting
and again,
places.
Why did no one teach me to understand that this was... that this was the shits? You get me? But again... Like you said, diaspora is something that we don't really learn, and the world's only really beginning to recognize that in the last maybe decade or so. Yeah. If you get me, because when I started to take the American lid off of things, but for me, it's like growing up, it's like now I see such power in the things we didn't learn but I still feel like we constantly have to look back to find those things. That's why when I see
and it's like your relationship with your culture. Like my parents told me the meaning of my name. So my full name is Samuel Olanrewaju Awe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like coincidentally, that's how my Instagram handle goes, like Sam_O_Awe. So initially, like it was one of the guys in school. In primary school, like gave me the name Samo, and I was like, sure, my middle name starts with an O anyway. Yeah. This kind of actually flows. So the meaning of Olanrewaju is my wealth is in the future, or my wealth is going forward. So when I realized the power of that name, the power just kicked in. Like,
bro,
you're able to kick into overdrive.
Hearing that, it makes sense because I'm like, no, you're such a forward-thinking person to begin with.
And Tobi
Loba Akim Balogun means God is the great king above, or God is a big king. Tobi means big, Oluwa is God, Loba means above. Akim is actually from the Muslim side of my family, because I have a family that's like what people don't expect in Nigeria somehow, but I think it's beautiful, which is like a Muslim man and a Christian woman. That apparently when I was growing up, I was like, oh, that never really happens. That's not supposed to be a thing. But I'm like, no, it's probably the most human thing. And Akim, actually, I researched over lockdown while I was doing my research for my different theories, like bursaries or whatever. Akim is an Arabic word meaning intelligence. When I read that, I was like, oh, boy, I'm about to read a book again for the 10,000th time.
But do you know who else is called Akim? It was Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Prince Hakeem, the pampered African prince.
I was not pampered at all. I wish.
But, like,
Take me back.
Nigerian.
Yeah.
Nigeria is obviously a big place. Many different languages.
Yeah.
There are three predominant ones, not necessarily the most popular.
Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa are the three dominant ones.
And we're both Yoruba.
Yeah. There's two. I can never remember the name of them anymore, and maybe that's ignorant. But
there's one like Benin as well.
There's basically like there's those three are the three main ones. There's another two that are considered main languages, but the whole country is actually I think has about 250 dialects in total.
This is it, one country.
Because like most random history fact, like most of Africa, they weren't actually countries; they were tribal areas, and then was when they colonized. Go and listen to Burna Boy's album. You hear one track.
Oh, I know the way.
Another story. Go and listen to Burna Boy. Another story. You'll just give yourself a little taste of the flavor of whatever. But yeah, they're originally tribal regions. So when they were colonized and brought together into like a Western philosophy, that's when the country borders were formed.
Yeah.
And that's why say certain parts of the country don't really. Maybe that's why certain countries aren't really as whole as European countries because they were never like conquered countries. They were like. Okay, well, this is a group of different people, like I said, they can coexist in a space and the continent of Africa, but now, okay, we're going to section off like this. And now you have a little bit of this over here, you have a little bit of that over here, but also everyone's still like different people.
Tribes were kind of like cut off and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Even in the city of Benin.
Yeah.
So that's music in a nutshell. We're not going to go on to back to design because... You can pick any one of these two books. I brought them here because, like, I had to come correct. I brought the design. I brought the music.
Yeah.
You could pick and choose which you want to go into. Like, the sneakers one is the green one.
I'm going to grab this one because the sneakers one...
Figures of... Show them the back. Show them the back. Figures of speech. Rest in peace, Virgil Abloh.
R.I.P. Virgil. It's actually mad to me because it was only when he passed and Vivienne passed. I tell people
Vivienne
like,
Westwood. Rest in peace, Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah, I said this quite often. Basically, for me, I lost my grandma before, like maybe a year or two before lockdown.
Oh, sorry to hear
And no, it was only when I started like asking myself certain things and questioning certain things again that that memories really like came back, bro. It was between dance and looking at. I was watching Virgil all through college.
Me too.
Virgil. Bro, so many of us. Virgil, Vivienne is actually what really like...
It's the concept of mentorship. Some of your mentors don't even know that you exist, but like if you're able to have someone like that's maybe a few years further on than you in life in whatever you want to do, it's nice to have them as a mentor, really.
You can even just pick a mentor, someone who inspires you and study what they did and use it as motivation or inspiration.
100%. Everything I learned from branding, like the things you see on Escape Plan Media, a lot of that would come from Virgil.
Yeah.
But I'd like to put my own spin on things. I don't want to take... This is someone that made quotation marks one of the biggest things in the 21st century. So I don't want to just take everything that he did. I want to be able to spin and be like, okay, that's not Virgil Abloh, that's Samuel Awe, that's his print. And Virgil's done that. He's laid out this website called Free Game, where anyone that wants to do branding, I will share it in the link in the YouTube video.
His whole recipe is right there. Just go read and find your freedom.
There you go.
Find your freedom, bro. This book, I might not even talk for the next 10 minutes. Good luck, everyone. My head is now angled downwards. Nah, this book is incredible.
Like, so I remember watching Virgil's Harvard speech. He's issued like 3 different books. He has a small one.
Yeah.
Another person that really likes Virgil Abloh is Aziz Said, one of my close friends.
Ablohisms. Yeah.
It's a pocket size. If you don't want to get one of these big coffee table books, he has a pocket size version.
Yeah.
Talking about design and finding your signature.
Yeah.
I think it's called Insert Complicated Title here. It's literally like a very, very small
book. Yeah. Mad. No, I haven't read that one yet. I've seen I've had little looks at Ablohism.
Cheap enough to get on Amazon as well.
Get that knowledge.
Get that knowledge. And then this one came shortly after because I enjoyed this one so much. I don't know, I like collecting art. So I have these vinyls and then there's also Something's Off. That tells a story about Virgil's relationship with Nike and all the shoes that he designed for them.
Yeah.
And like it's just his story is so interesting. Even with IKEA, like that IKEA thing that happened as well.
Even the title for me, Something's Off. If you look at Virgil's design, it was Always mad. No. I just clocked it now because it's like the idea of no, maybe I'm still for me the idea of juxtaposition. I'm like actually understanding where that came from.
You hit it on
because no because like I think again I over theorize things and I read to like I'm somewhere between like a street kid who grew up in a small town and I've read too many like same as us we found inspiration and mentorship wherever we could find it. But the idea of juxtaposition and how in nature the things we find beautiful are always actually slightly imperfect. But then as a society we seek that same level of beauty in terms of perfection, so everything has to be symmetrical, And for me, the phrase "something's off" just slapped me sideways in the head because I've been stuck on the idea of visually juxtaposition in terms of writing subversion. So always having something slightly because
like, some of your designs are like purposely unfinished.
Yeah. Because for me, there's always that idea of like seeking imperfection is where the talking point and the depth lies. If something is perfect as it is, I don't need to talk about it.
What else? It stops there.
It stops. That's it. And that for me is I'll bring back to the context, but like, it stops there. That's the table. That's it. I don't like. Whereas you see like that when you did that IKEA chair and they put the little wedge under the foot, you have to ask the question of like, wait,
why is there a tag on that shoe? Why is there a peg on that? Like,
why is the Nike tick cut in half and split? You get me? Like, why is this moved over here? Because you expect things to be a particular way, and things naturally aren't supposed to be perfect or a particular way. So sorry, when I didn't even mean to go there, when I just read something else, I was like,
I'm so glad you did. Like, this is a
even that Nike tick on the thing is not the normal Nike tick. You get me? But it breeds.
Something's off as well. The play on the fact that he was the founder of Off-White.
Yeah.
Like, the guy knows what he's doing.
Something's off as well in the fact that, you know, that he used to talk about luxury in streetwear and how things were never really like put in the right light. Like, so he's like, why can't streetwear be luxury? Oh, wait, now it's a luxury because y'all can make money off of it. Something's off. So for me, I'm like, he was...
Oh, man.
Oh, I could read into this shit for days. But also...
I never even peeped that as well.
Nah, my brain over deep things. Even the fact that, look, okay, he's got a whole coffee table book, right? He's got a whole coffee table book. And the bookmark is a measuring tape, fam, and it's actually like accurate to measurements, but also it's a measuring tape. So yeah. I think there's a lot in what he did and what he does, and I think for me what he did was such a human thing.
And I wanted to go. He had like an installation in Chicago. I wanted to see like all his works, so his designs for like What's the Throne. And the Yeezus album cover, just like stripping back, like he was trying to signify the death of the CD, like how things were becoming more online and streaming, and he basically like put a CD in a clear case to be like, this is the end of this era, but it could go further into something else.
His work just reads into so much. For me, even when he said, I'm like, yo, the fact that the CD's in a clear case, just even alludes to the fact that we're obsessed with music, and this is literally like what contains the music we're obsessed with. The CD.
You don't need to dress it up with anything fancy. No. It's just the focus is on the music.
And I think a lot of his work really spoke to that about, you know, wait, why is this? Like, I remember I was looking at Pyrex for years and like, oh my god, Pyrex so incredible. And then I remember he put up, he's like, those were just like cheap rugby shirts that we got and printed in this particular way, but we were able to talk about them this way. And it's that whole thing of things being so dressed up and marketed now. And like, again, I think people expect a certain quality just because things look a particular way, because the packaging is pretty means it's this, but then people, because of that mindset, only go looking for the pretty packaging, if you get me. So like, now say you and me, we'll go vintage again, we'll go feeling t-shirt like, okay, no, that's quality, it's a $5, I'm gone. Whereas people will be like, oh no, it needs a particular, again, branding, logo. So now everything has to come packaged a particular way for people to even be interested in at times.
Yeah, I do get that, and like in different spaces, like you get it with clothes, but also even in things that you want to do. Like there are levels to things, and Virgil has just shown me that things don't have to be perfect to begin. So if you do want to start something, go right ahead and do it.
Go do it.
Obviously, if you have like a certain standard or quality that you want to hit straight off the bat, invest in yourself and find your way to those things. But it's okay for you to start off and learn with your audience, you know? Like, everybody is a beginner at some stage.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and do something, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Go on,
like,
do it.
The imperfection is what you want. It's like the little nitty-gritty details that makes it human and relatable. is what you're looking for.
It's like for me, it's like the honesty. There's a certain honesty that imperfection brings as well, without ever masking the imperfection. Really, just grow. Like people always ask me like how I do so many things. I'm like, it's because I know I'm imperfect. So because you're honest with that imperfection, you always know you need to learn more or understand something better, and you're constantly actually moving forward. It's like, I want to be before. Okay, I want to be a hip hop dancer. Okay, I'm people tell me I'm whatever. Okay, cool, but I know I'm here. I want to go there. Then I can actually acknowledge what it takes to get there.
Let people know, like, plug whatever you want to plug at this stage of the show, whether it's like an upcoming residency or classes, where people can find you on social media, like you're at. This is your chance to plug that.
You can find me on social media at Tobi on Instagram, and then www.tobi-tobi.com is my work website, and that's where I put like everything from my direction to styling to design to things I've danced in as well. There's also my upcoming brand Wahala_IE on Instagram. We'll talk about that because
we definitely will.
That's getting built out right now.
Is there anywhere that people can come see you or like buy into your classes or even your like for your designs, or maybe reach out for some like collaboration?
Yeah, you can reach if it's for customs like what Sam had on. You'll see the whole fit. I'm sure he's gonna post pictures of the full fit. You can reach out to me on my personal page. Wahala is kind of being built to go in a slightly different direction design wise. So you can also reach out to Wahala. Classes wise, I'm bringing my classes back in March. But if you're looking for if you're an artist looking for movement development, or you're looking for movement coaching, or even just want to have more information on where to go to start like a creative journey, or build like a professional creative career, most of my work has been in community building and diversity the last 3 years. So reach out to me whenever. I can always extend a page or a link or something that might just help you get started, or even if it's just a case of, oh, can I do this? And like I'll probably most likely go, yeah, you can do that. Go do it. A really raw telling piece about masculinity.
I think it's so important, like just your journey into finding what that means for you.
Yeah.
And how it can be different to what the popular consensus is. Whatever society thinks is like, this is the idea of masculinity.
Yeah.
Your idea could be completely different. I found I had to figure out what masculinity was for myself.
Yeah, or even the kind of man you want to be.
Exactly.
Whether it's career-wise, creativity-wise, I want to work here. I'm like, for me, all those little things are like things that everyone should be allowed. And again, I know social media is like trend-based and culture-based, but everyone is like, we sometimes forget that everyone's allowed to be themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and I think it's also important everyone's allowed to be themselves. So for me, questions like that, and spaces like that, and even just being able to have a conversation about topics like that are, if I said, important, but more so a necessity, but also in having confidence in who you are as a person, because you know, if you know yourself, no one can rock it.
And sharing your problems as well.
Yeah.
Not to dim down the tone of this conversation, but like, men do struggle with that because we're not socialized to do those things. So, and it leads to like suicide rates being the highest among men. So I think it's important like to reach out to your guys whenever you're feeling a particular way about something. Talking is important. Like, and I'm glad like more men are doing these podcasts and being able to relate to their boys and tell them that they love them, they appreciate them. Yo, my guy. Hello.
Bro, come on. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Right. So on that note, we're out. Peace. Tune in again next time.
Thanks very much.
Subscribe and spread the word.